it just doesn't make sense. Like, how do you have a whole girlfriend of almost 1 year? Meanwhile, not only are you sleeping with somebody else and full-blown cheating, but you're building an emotional connection with somebody else. Do you know what I'm saying? And I really think that cheating is almost like an onion. There's layers to it, and like the question she asked me just really showed me, like, okay, cheating is bad overall, but there's little details that make it worse and worse. Welcome to Taking on Your 20s. I'm your host, Carla, and let's take on our 20s together. So I guess I'll start it off with a little intro on who I am. Quick little who, what, where, when, why, if you will. So my name is Carla Nazaire. I am a 21-year-old recent college grad. I graduated like May 2020 with a BA in psych, so I definitely am going to incorporate psych into this a whole lot, because you really don't realize how much psych in your past has to do with a lot of future decisions you make and a lot of why you become the person you are down the line. So it's kind of key to think about. So who, what, where? So I am from upstate New York. Right now I'm in the capital of New York. The where and why has yet to be determined, or the when and why has yet to be determined. I don't know what the when is or what the why is, but we'll see. So I'm gonna get right into it. So the purpose of this episode is basically, you can't trust anybody. You cannot trust a soul. And I think the end of your teens going into your 20s, some people maybe later in their 20s, some people maybe early high school, you start to learn there are some people you can trust and some people you can't, and the majority of people you can't, whether that be family members, friends, significant others. Like, you'll have friends who you trust and you think are 100% there for you, and then they go around telling your business to everybody who will listen, or like family members who you trust with personal information who will then use that against you in the future. But in this episode, we're going to go into why you can't trust, or why you should be doubtful of a potential romantic interest. So I'm not trying to be like a downer or anything like that, but to be realistic, I think it's just kind of the world we live in now, like with social media and access to people so easily. It's like, okay, like, oh, I'm talking to him, I really like him, but like he could easily call up this other girl and go hang out with her, you know? It's just too easy. It's like on a silver platter for them. So I think this really clicked for me probably about last year, because between my freshman year to like the middle to end of my junior year of college, I had been cheated with. So I was the side chick at one point. I was cheated on. I suspected that I was being cheated on, and it was just like, it starts to make you wonder, like, who can I trust? Who can I take seriously? Like, and some people are very honest.
I didn't get that.
Shoot.
Can you try again?
No, Siri. No. So some people you can trust, some people you can't, and some people will be honest with you from the jump. Like, you'll be talking to somebody and they'll be like, hey, this is exactly how it is, you know? And I appreciate those people, because I think it's like, even if what you're saying you think the other person doesn't want to hear, ultimately you can figure out if you guys are on the same page, or you can get on the same page. So let's say you're talking to somebody and he's like, hey, I'm not looking for this to go anywhere. Like, this is just a hangout, hookup situation. Even if that's not what you wanted to hear, now you can't really set any expectations. Like, yes, you can still try to make him change his mind, but ultimately he can always say to you, I told you what it was. Like, I let you know it hasn't changed, instead of not saying anything. And then down the line, it's like, well, you made it seem like we were together. Like, we never had that talk that it wasn't going anywhere. So why would I assume it's not going anywhere, you know? But I really, really want to go into cheating, because I've been seeing it all over TikTok. I've been seeing it on Insta. I've been seeing YouTube story times of like, oh, he cheated on me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And I was just experiencing this like 12 months ago, 2 years ago, you know? So I think when it comes to your boyfriend cheating on you or your girlfriend cheating on you, there are some very distinct signs, right? So I think one of the biggest signs, flat out, like number one, is your intuition. If you have a gut feeling, if you feel like something's going on, and that's why they call it women's intuition, like we just know. If you have a feeling something's going on, it's most likely going on. Like, yes, nothing's impossible. There's a chance maybe something not as bad as you thought is going on, but something is probably going on. Because why else would you think that? Like, if you were going months through your relationship, not having any doubts, and now all of a sudden you're having a doubt, it's like, where did that come from? There must have been a shift in energy somewhere that's making you be suspicious. So I think intuition's number one. If you start feeling like he's doing something he shouldn't be doing, yep, he probably is. Like, we don't know the magnitude. We don't know if he's gone full off the rails or if like he's just started a little bit, but there's probably some truth to what you're feeling. I think one of the next ones is, and this is probably a big one too, is, you know how we have like private snaps, close friends on Instagram. If you're not on those, like maybe your best girlfriend is on his close friends or on his private story on Snap, but you're not on it, like that should make you wonder, like, why are you not on the private story? Like, for me, I've never experienced that, but that would be a deal breaker. Like, he has a private story and I'm just not on it. Like, I'm his girlfriend and I'm not on it. That would be absurd insanity. Like, he would have to have some audacity to really do some shit like that. So another one is like suddenly changing how much they let you have their devices. You know what I mean? So like, if before, when you guys first started dating, like he openly gave you his password, right? Or like you could be like, hey babe, I'm gonna go shower, can I take your phone to listen to music or something like that, and it wasn't a big deal. And then now it's like, oh, his password has changed and he hasn't made the effort to give you what his new password is. Or you want to take his phone to you do something innocent with it and he's like, no, use yours. Oh babe, I can't find mine. Well, find it. You can't use my phone. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Like, you're gonna make me look for my phone to do something quick just so I don't go on your phone. Like, what's on the phone? The phone is the key, people. If you don't have access to the phone, something weird is going on, because it's like everything's on the phone. So I understand some people are like, yeah, I don't give my partner my password, right? Listen, that's sus to me. You should be giving your partner your password. Like, there's no reason they shouldn't have it. And just because they have it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be taking your phone and looking at it all day, every day and monitoring you. But it just means that, like, if once in a blue moon, they're like, oh, hey, let me, like, check up on things, they can, you know? Or even if they don't want to, like, just knowing you like, for me, it's like just knowing I have access makes me not even really care too much to keep tabs on it, just because it's like, okay, I know I can go in there if I wanted to, but like, I don't really want to, because just the fact that I have the password means that nothing's going on. If I didn't have the password, instantly I know there's something in that phone, and now I'm trying even harder to get into it. You know what I mean? So like things changing on their devices, it could also be like their laptop password change. So if you're a student and you guys are like hanging out all the time, and sometimes you're at his crib and you're using his laptop. Now he's not letting you use the laptop, or he changed the password, and if you use it to do homework, he's kind of like looking over your shoulder, like making sure that you truly aren't snooping on it. That's weird. Because again, if he has a Mac or something, the laptop's definitely hooked up to his iCloud. It's hooked up to his messages, his phone calls. Probably his apps have been logged in at least once or twice, so it's probably saved in there. So even if you type in Instagram on his like URL browser search thing, whatever it's called, you could probably access it. So if he doesn't want you in there, it's essentially like having the phone 2.0. Or, so this is a big one. Let's say you use the laptop sometimes, and one day you go to use it and there's an ad there, because you know how like Google will give you ads for things you've looked at before. Like they rarely give you ads of things you haven't looked at, and if that's the case, it's because it's probably close enough to something you have looked at that it's like, oh, maybe they're interested, right? So you see an ad for something that may be a gift for like another girl, or maybe like something he could have bought her, or something she could have bought herself or was looking at off of his laptop, but you didn't look at, right? So if there's, I don't know, an ad for like Tiffany's or something, and he's never gotten you a Tiffany's necklace, it's not near February, so there's no reason he was even looking at them. He has never mentioned Tiffany's to you before, yet it's there. Either he was looking at it to give to somebody else, or there was another girl there who was just like looking at shit. And unless he has like mad sisters and they live in the area and they use his laptop for some reason, that shouldn't be excusable either. And it doesn't have to just be jewelry. It can be clothes, it can be makeup. If he doesn't wear makeup, there should be no reason there's makeup advertisements on his computer at all. That's weird. That's really weird. So they get super defensive if you bring something up that seems like you're questioning their loyalty, right? So this is right there with intuition. Like if, let's say they go out or something, and you're suspicious as to like why after they went out they didn't come see you, or why when they got home they didn't call you, FaceTime you, like things that they normally do, and they start to like get antsy, right? So instead of their answer being like, my bad babe, like I was with the boys and then I passed out on the couch, blah blah blah, whatever it is. Again, he could lie, he could have a lie planned, but like most of the time if they get defensive and they're like, why are you asking me? I went home and went to sleep. This shouldn't be a question. What, you don't trust me? It's like, nobody said that, but you just said that, so maybe I shouldn't trust you? Is that what you're saying to me? They could be overcompensating for things as well. So maybe before, yes, they were sweet and would compliment you and you guys would have sex often and stuff like that, but now they're even more so, like all day, every day, like complimenting you nonstop, wanting to have sex all the time. That could be them doing extra so that you don't look in their direction, kind of. So it's like, oh no, he's like showing me all this love, all this affection. We have all this sexual chemistry. No way he's doing anything. Sometimes it's the opposite. Like, yes, like people, like relationships go in waves where you are sometimes more sexual and other times not as much. But if it's like a sudden change and it's super kind of quick with it, maybe something's going on. Oh, social media too. So if before they used to post you on social media, right? And now they don't. Never even like, not even like your toe, like nothing that could make it seem like there's another girl in his presence. That's weird. Why would you go all this time posting and then now it's, hey babe, it's been a few months since you posted me. What's going on? Like, that's really sus. Or if they've never posted you but get super, again, defensive when you ask them to, or ask them why they don't. So like, some people just aren't posters or social media people, but you can ask your partner like, hey, why don't you post me? Like, I would appreciate it if you posted me, not because I need to prove to the world that I'm with you, but just because I want to feel appreciated. I want you to show me off in a way. So if they're not doing that, even after you explain it, and they still get defensive and they're like, why do I need to? Like, why do I need to show you off? Like, I appreciate you in private. I don't need to appreciate you in public. That's weird. That's also very sus. Because it's like, okay, babe, yeah, you appreciate me in private, but like, I want you to do it publicly once in a while. If they're not willing to do that, they're not doing it for their own, like, for their own agenda, for their own reasons. Because if it's like, if it doesn't matter and you know it makes your partner feel happy when you do that, why wouldn't you just do it? Like, if it's gonna make their day, or for the next few days they're gonna be super happy because you did that, there should be absolutely no reason why you're not willing to do that to make them happy. I would say the signs that you're getting cheated with, like signs you're a side chick, but the thing is I feel like that's so circumstantial. Like, if you're the side chick and the guy goes to your same college, right? Or lives in the same town, maybe goes to a college nearby, that's gonna be hard for him to manage, because it's like, okay, he lives in the same town as his girlfriend and you live there too. So either you would need to know about her, or he would just from the jump be really sus, like be only hanging out with you after a party, maybe only going to your crib. You don't really go to his because maybe the girl's there. Or maybe when you go, he doesn't want you to sleep over. If you sleep over, he for some reason has something to do in the morning where you need to go so that nobody sees you. But then again, from my experience, the guys that I've been a side chick to had girlfriends back home. So high school girlfriends, maybe they went to community college a couple years, started dating somebody, and then came to college. They had girlfriends back at home, like long-term girlfriends too. So I remember this one time I was talking to this guy. We're going to call him the sloth because he looked like a sloth, and I don't know why I talked to him. Even my best friend at the time, not at the time, even my best friend told me during that time period, she was like, Carla, he's not even that cute. And of course I was like, listen, you don't know him like I know him. Like, you don't know how great his personality is. You just don't understand. Like, it's not all about looks. Come on. She was like, you're right. Like, that was the last time I put looks over personality. Last time. Never happened again because I learned my lesson. So him and I had met, I think we had met in October or something. We had met at a party. We hung out a little bit, like smoked some hookah. We're like drinking and hanging out together. But then I went home, didn't see him again for like months. And then my best friend and I were out, and it was just her and I, and we ran into him and a group of his friends at a party. And then we started hanging out. And then after that, it was like we were hanging out all the time. Like for the next like 2, 3, 4 weeks, like I was seeing him quite frequently. He was inviting me over and making me dinner, and I was meeting his roommates. He put my best friend on to his best friend so we could go on double dates. We went to the movies. He would, like, if we went out on a Friday or Saturday, he'd make sure to like link us to walk us home, and or to even walk her home sometimes if I was going to spend the night at his place. And then one day I'm driving and I get a phone call, and it's like a woman's voice, and she's like, hi, is this Carla? And I'm like, yeah. And in my mind, I'm thinking it's like a doctor's office, or maybe it's the college calling me for some reason. I remember there was like a long weekend or a break. So I'm thinking they're calling about something like related to that, nothing personal. And she's like, hi, this is Mrs. Sloth. I'm Sloth's girlfriend. And I was like, no way. I didn't say that. I was just kind of silent for a second. And I was like, why are you calling me? How long have you guys been dating? And she was like, since like June. And I think this was around like April or May. So they were about to hit a year together. And I'm like, oh. And she was like, listen, I know you guys have been seeing each other and hooking up because I see his text messages. Like, apparently she worked for AT&T or something, and that was his like provider. So I don't know if she knew his password or something, but she got in and saw all his messages. Genius, by the way. If you think your man's cheating, get a job for the provider he has, and then maybe you can access his account. Very smart. I'm gonna write that down. But I was just like, she was like, yeah, I know you guys have been seeing each other. And I'm like, okay. Like, what do you want me to say? And she was like, all right, just come to me as a woman and let me know what happened. And I'm like, I don't know what you want to know. Like, I'm not going to tell you the whole story off rip, like, just because you called me. So she was like, okay, I'll ask you some questions. So I'm like, great, I'll answer your questions. I just didn't feel like telling her what was going on, like, because maybe there's some information I tell her that she didn't need to know, that she didn't care about, and now I just hurt her feelings. So she was like, how long have you guys been hanging out for? And I was like, a few weeks, like 3 or 4 weeks maybe. And she was like, did you guys sleep together? And I was like, yeah. She was like, a couple times, a little more than that. And I was like, more than that. And she was like on the weekends, or like, would you see him during the week too? And I was like, I saw him during the week and the weekends. And she was like, he had you over at his place, or did he go to your place? And I was like, I would go to his place. And she kind of paused for a second. She was like, did you meet his roommates? And I was like, yeah, I met his roommates. I met his roommates' girlfriends. They knew I was there. And I could tell she was probably pretty salty about this, because it's like, how did his roommates let this slide for so long and probably not tell her? And how did the roommates' girlfriends not let her know what was going on? So I was like, yeah, they knew I was there. And then she's like, did he ever take you out? Did you guys ever like have dinner together, or would you just go there to sleep over? And I was like, no, he made me dinner a few times. We went out, we went to the movies. And she was like, wow. And I was like, same sis, wow. Because when I left Albany, I was not expecting to have this conversation during my drive. Not at all. 100%. I thought I was leaving a good man back in Albany, a good sloth back there. I did not have any idea it was going to turn into this. So, and then she asked me the number one most important question, I think. Did you guys use protection? And I was just kind of like, okay, so I can either tell her the truth, or I can spare her feelings. Like, poor thing is probably hurt enough right now. So I lied, and I was like, of course. What? Like, 100%. We use protection. Meanwhile, we didn't use protection, not one time. But in my defense, I thought, from all the things he was doing, that this was going somewhere. So I didn't really feel a need to, because I was like, in my mind, this wasn't a one-time hookup, so it wasn't like I had to protect myself from anything. It really looked like it was moving in the direction of a potential situationship turned relationship, maybe. So I didn't use it, and she was like, all right, thank you, bye, hangs up. I'm like, great, bye. When I tell you, I was literally driving, and after this conversation, I was just like, the deception, the audacity, it just doesn't make sense. Like, how do you have a whole girlfriend of almost 1 year? Meanwhile, not only are you sleeping with somebody else and full-blown cheating, but you're building an emotional connection with somebody else. Do you know what I'm saying? And I really think that cheating is almost like an onion. There's layers to it, and like the question she asked me just really showed me, like, okay, cheating is bad overall, but there's little details that make it worse and worse. Like, your man goes out to the club, gets drunk, hooks up with a girl, right? Doesn't get her social media, didn't know her before that, will probably never see her again after that moment. And you find out. That's hurtful. That's breakup worthy. But then again, there's things that can make it worse. So like, it's worse if he went out to the club and had been hitting her up beforehand, knowing she was going to be there, and he knew he was going to cheat on you. Premeditated cheating, I like to call it. That's worse. Or if he cheated on you and continuously, over and over and over again, that's worse. Because now he's done it and clearly didn't think about how you would feel if you found out what he did. You know what I mean? Even worse than that, right? Let's say you guys share a place. Or maybe you have your own place, he has his, but maybe you spend a lot of time at his place, majority of the time at his place. He brings the side to your crib. So now she's in the bed, you sleeping. I would die if I had to find out I was sleeping in a bed where a side bitch was sleeping or having sex with my man 2 or 3 hours beforehand. Disgusting. Atrocious. It's just like, why do that? Like, if that's what you want to do, just break up. There's no point in staying together if you're going to be playing her. Like, yes, the one time going out, getting drunk, cheating, that is messed up. You should be able to have enough self-control to know better, to not do that. But that isn't a long drawn out thing. And especially if you admit to it early on, I think there can be, in certain circumstances, a way that you can move past that, right? So maybe if you're very deep in the relationship, you've been together 5 years, like a one night stand may not be the reason you guys break up. But if you're going to be seeing somebody over and over and over again and catching feelings and telling them all these things, you shouldn't be in a relationship. Like, there's no reason you should be with somebody if you're going to be doing them dirty like that. Do you know what I mean? And I just don't fully understand it. I don't really get what the purpose is. Like, I don't know if it's like, oh no, like, I love my girlfriend, I just want to have sex with somebody else. Okay, then maybe talk to your girlfriend about potentially having an open relationship. Maybe she'd be down, right? If she doesn't want to, you guys can break up and maybe get back together in a few months once you got whatever it was out of your system, right? Or if it's like, oh, my girlfriend's okay, but like, I like this other girl a lot, I have feelings for her. Leave your girlfriend. There's no reason you should be with her and care about her, but growing feelings for somebody else. It doesn't make sense. It's not fair to the girlfriend. It's not fair to the side, especially if she didn't know. If she knew, then maybe that's a different story, because she knew what she was getting herself into. She knew there was the main bitch and she was the side. So she should have no expectations of becoming the main. I don't even know why she would want to become the main, because if you're sleeping with a guy who's in a relationship knowingly, then you shouldn't even want to date him when he gets out of that relationship, because he's going to do that to you. I remember my mom had a saying, and she was like, the way you get him is the way you're going to lose him. And it's so true. Like, if you get a man because you got into his bed when he was in a relationship with somebody else, there's no guarantee that he's not going to do that to you. Like, yes, men change. You might be the one for him, but really think about it, and that's probably not the case. You're probably not the one for him, and he's probably going to do it to you too. So just keep your eye out, you know? But yeah, I don't get it. I wish I could understand. Like, I remember, so this is not my finest moment, right? So with that one relationship, I was the unknowing side. I didn't know. He didn't tell me. And then when I found out, I just never talked to him again. There was, though, a situation where I was the knowing side. And it's not my proudest moment, not my finest hour whatsoever. So there was this guy. I'm gonna call him the Lax Bro because he played Lax at a school in Albany. Not necessarily my school, not necessarily U Albany, but a school in Albany. So he had a girlfriend for a long time, right? And I remember, I think there was a night that I don't know what it was, but for some reason me and my friends were on his Instagram. And I was pretty lit, so I think I unknowingly liked a few pictures. And he slid in my DMs the next day and he was like, "Stalking, I see," with a smirk, like off rip. And I'm like, a smirk? We're moving quick over here. I was like, "Oops, I didn't realize, I'm sorry." Like, I really didn't realize, but it's not the worst thing ever that he noticed. So, anyway, we talked back and forth a little bit, and this was during a period where me and my ex had broken up. So, like 2 exes ago, him and I were on a break for a little bit. So, I was free to do whatever. But I was under the impression he was in a relationship. So I didn't expect that smirk to really go anywhere. I was like, maybe it's just like being friendly, being a little flirty, but that's it. This man in a full-blown relationship proceeds to tell me that he was like, "I had been wanting to hit you up. Like, I just didn't know you'd be interested, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, why wouldn't I be interested? Like, you're sexy or whatever. But then again, still at this time, like, I'm kind of playing because I didn't think it was gonna go anywhere. And then one night he's like leaving the bar and he's like, "I want to see you, I need to see you." So I saw him and he told me the things this man told me about his relationship. This is our first link. We had maybe talked for like a week at most, and it wasn't deep talking. It was like maybe surface talking. He went in about his relationship, and I think part of the reason maybe was because he was lit, but him and I also just like it was always a very easy flow of conversation too. So he came over and he was telling me about the problems with his girlfriend, how first of all he had to turn his phone off while he was seeing me because she would track him. Good for you, sis. I would do that too. So I can't even say anything about that. But how they were going through all these problems and how he didn't trust her. And I'm like, okay, so leave her. If you don't trust her and you're having all these problems, either leave her or work it out. Why are you here, right? What can I do for you? You know what I could do for him. And unfortunately, in my, freshly broken up on a break mindset, I was like, fuck it. We did it. I'm not gonna lie, it was a great time. It wasn't what I was expecting at all, but it was a great time. And then he left, right? He left. I went to sleep. The next morning, I remember I went with 2 of my best friends to Dunkin' Donuts, right there on the corner. And we're in the Dunkin'. They're asking me, like, how was it? Oh my God, I can't believe he came over. Like, yeah, I heard him come in the dorm because the way our dorm was set up is it was a suite. So there was like a living room, but then 3 separate bedrooms off of it. So they're like, I can't believe he came over. Yeah, I heard him come like in the front door, but I didn't know anything happened. And we're talking about it. And then we start walking out of the Dunkin' Donuts and he's walking in with his girlfriend. And I'm just like straight faced, like I didn't even look at him, acted like he doesn't exist. My one friend who cannot help her facial expressions, she cannot help it. It's like her thing, and like our whole friend group knows that she can't help her facial expressions. She makes the funniest face and bursts out laughing as we're walking past them. So it's like I'm walking past them like this and she's laughing right here. And I'm like, get outside. Stop laughing. We get outside and we're just dying. And like, nobody was laughing at the girlfriend whatsoever. She was laughing at, I think it was like, what a coincidence that we're having this conversation and all this happened and we ran into each other. It was like fate, maybe. No, it wasn't. But so him and I didn't really talk after that. I got back together with my ex. You know, we're living our best lives. So then my ex and I break up. I'm single for a little bit. I don't know what this man's doing. And then a few months later, he hits me up again, saying something about like wanting to see me and stuff like that. And I'm like, but are you still with your girlfriend? And at this point, they're like living together, like have a place together, right? And he's like, yeah, but like she's away for the weekend or something, you can come over. So I went over. Terrible. I know. You don't have to tell me. I know it's terrible. I've acknowledged it. I've looked inward. I don't know why I did it, but maybe I'll talk to my therapist about it and try to figure out why. So I go over there and we're like talking, and this time he's getting even deeper. Like he's telling me their personal issues within the relationship. He's telling me their sexual issues. Like this is right after him and I sleep together. He's telling me their sexual problems, how she doesn't satisfy him, how his ex, like his first love, was the love of his life and will always be the love of his life. And I'm like, how are you dating this girl now, maybe 2 years in, and you're telling me how your first girlfriend was the love of your life? Like imagine if your girlfriend had a hidden mic in the crib. Like she was like, oh, I'm going away for the weekend. Let me just leave a little recorder and listen to what happens when I come back. Oh my God. Like if that was me, my head would explode. And honestly, like I took no insult to this conversation because again, like I went over there knowing he was with somebody. So it wasn't really for any particular outcome. I had no expectations. It was more because the first time we hung out was such a good time. I just wanted to see him again. But I'm just like, how could you say that? You know what I mean? And why would you tell me that? Like, I'm your little side situation over here. Why would you tell me about all your problems and weaknesses with your girl? You know? Like, I understand we can talk about anything and you do confide in me with those things, but at the same time, it's like solely out of respect for your girlfriend, why would you tell me those things? So I remember one time I asked him the kicker and I was like, what's your ultimate goal? Like, what's your ultimate goal with cheating on your girlfriend? Why do you stay with her all this time if you're just going to continue to cheat on her and hit me up and hit whoever else up, right? And he's like, first of all, honestly, I don't cheat on her with other people. It's just you. I don't know why. And I'm like, okay, well, given your track record, I don't believe you. But even if I did, thank you. But also, that doesn't make it any better if it's just me. That makes no difference. And he's like, okay, well, I'm like, so what's the next step? Like, you guys have been together 3 years. You don't seem like there's any sign of breaking up. Like, if you guys just continue, eventually you're going to get married, right? And he's like, no, I'm not going to, like, propose anytime soon. And I'm like, okay, you may not. But, like, if I was the girlfriend and I was dating somebody for 3-4 years, even if I'm just out of college, like, and we've lived together, I would expect maybe by the 5th or 6th year to get a ring. Maybe not get married right away, like still save up and plan for the wedding, but to get a ring. There's no way I'm going to be in your life for longer than 5 years living together and I'm not going to get a ring. What is this? You know? put a fucking ring on it. So he was like, I don't know, like, and he was like, honestly, we're having a lot of issues. I think it's gonna end soon. And I'm like, okay, I'll believe that when I see it. I'll believe it when I see it. So then fast forward a little bit, he hits me up and he's like, okay, I ended it with her. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you, because I didn't think it was gonna happen. Like, I'm proud of you for yourself, because I feel like you've taken a step that's gonna make you grow so much more than if you had stayed with her and continued your bad toxic habits of cheating on her. So he told me that they ended it and how it was super fresh and painful, and I was like, I understand completely. But at this point, I had then started my relationship with my ex right before the boyfriend I have now. So he's like, yeah, we broke up. And he's like, honestly, like, I think about you. I miss you. Like, I've thought about what a future with you would be like. And I'm like, thanks. But I'm in a relationship now. So no thanks. And that's kind of where that left off. And it just really showed me that, like, every step of the way, this man was toxic and untrustworthy to the partner that he had. And it was just like, yes, it was a good time, the time we spent together in person, but just what he did showed me that it's like, okay, if you're doing this and you're 3 years in, what could, like, a boyfriend that I have for a month or two do to me, right? And granted, actually, the ex that I had right before my boyfriend now ended up being a sus, slimy little piece of shit. And I think that's where I ended up learning my like tips to catch a cheater, because I did it wrong. I did it so wrong. And I wish I would have done it differently, but, like, you live and you learn, you know? So we had been together. That relationship was like, he kind of pressured me into the relationship a little bit. We had been talking for like a week or two, and he was like, do you want to date? And I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, sure, why not? We're already here. And then, like, a week after that, or maybe two, he was telling me he loved me, and I was like, not me. And I remember I didn't say it back. I literally remember he told me while we were laying in bed that he loved me, and I turned over in the bed and put my back to him, and I was just babbling. I was like babbling about whatever. Like, I was like, oh my God, tomorrow I have to do this thing, and, like, my family this thing. And I went on to, like, a deep talk about something for like 30 minutes because I didn't want to say it back, but I didn't want to sit in the silence of knowing that I didn't say it back. And then he was mad. For the next few days, he was mad at me. And I was like, how are you going to be mad that I don't say it back? Like, it's been a couple weeks. How am I going to possibly say it back to you? And then eventually I did say it back. I still don't know if I ever fully felt it. Like, I think a part of me said it back because I felt guilty that he had said it and I hadn't said it back to him. So after a while, I was just saying it just to say it. Like, almost maybe to convince myself, like, okay, if I say it enough, then I'll feel it, you know? But towards the end of the relationship, he was doing, like, sus, shady shit. Like, so sus. And maybe another time I'll go into the story of exactly the shadiness that he did. But I think my biggest mistake when he started doing his shadiness, and then I found out that he was doing things he wasn't supposed to be doing, was that as soon as I felt my gut intuition, I told him. Like, I was like, basically, like, I know you're doing something sus, what is it? And that doesn't work, because immediately men will gaslight you. They'll make you think you're crazy for feeling how you feel. They'll make you feel guilty for feeling how you feel. They'll make you think that your intuition is wrong, and then you start to doubt yourself, and they'll make you think that you are hurting the relationship because you have a gut feeling, and they're not doing anything at all. So from that situation, I learned that if I ever again in my life, and for you ladies, if you have a gut feeling that your man is doing anything, Patience is key. Patience is number one. Tip one, get a binder or create a folder in your laptop. Tip one, get somewhere to store information. You are gonna collect a whole shit ton of information on this man, like a whole study, a thesis. You could get a PhD in what he does outside of the house, is how much information you're gonna get. So and the key to this again is the phone. Like I said earlier in the episode, if you have access to the phone, all this is so much easier. If you don't have access to the phone, step one, get access to the phone. Once you have the phone, start to kind of, obviously when he doesn't know you're looking, because the key to this is you want him to let his guard down. You don't want him to know that you're watching, because then he'll be sneakier and start to hide things more. So when he doesn't know it, maybe when he's sleeping, goes to take a shower, whatever it is, check his texts. That's a no-brainer, right? Number one, check his texts, but then do the thing where you go to compose a message, because if he's cheating, he's probably deleting the messages. Go to compose a message and put a period in where you would put a number, and then the most recent people they've texted is going to come up even if they deleted it, right? And you can honestly try with a friend first. So text your friend, tell her to delete your text messages, and then go on her phone and put a period in the phone number, and you'll see your name comes up. So that's one. If you're seeing names in there that aren't the names that he has on his actual like list of recent texts, why would he delete it, right? Let's say there's the name Jeffrey, deleted, but he's in one of the most recent. It's like, who the fuck is Jeffrey? It's probably not even a Jeffrey. It's probably a Jennifer, right? So now you can look into that number. So that's number one. Number two, similarly, monitor DMs. If he has an Instagram, check the DMs. Maybe, again, he deleted the DMs. So go to like a post of maybe like a public page, right? And click the DM button, like the little like paper airplane thing. And the names that come up are the most recent or the most contacted people that they message. So if there's a name in there that isn't in the regular list of DMs, you know that's somebody they've been in contact with, but they deleted the messages. Why would you delete the messages? If that's your girl from high school, like your homie, like your sis, why would you delete the messages? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. So look into that. Now, this is if you think he's going places and not telling you truly where he's off to. So, first of all, if you have the phone and you guys are dating, this isn't like just talking. If you guys are full-blown dating together, maybe for a while, most likely you have his find a friends. You should have his find a friends. I have my man's find a friends. I don't track his location. I never ever look at it, but I personally like to have it just so that he can also have mine for safety purposes. Like, I should never be coming home from work or going to work and I get swept off the street and taken and he can never find me again because he didn't have my location. You know what I mean? So that's the main reason we have each other's. But if you have each other's find a friends and you think he's going somewhere he shouldn't, look at it. If when he's somewhere it says location not available, he turned it off so you could not see where he was. But then, if you can see where he was, when he comes home, he goes to take a shower, he goes to warm up some dinner, take the phone. What you're going to do is you're going to go to settings, you're going to go to privacy, location services, and then there's something that says like most recent locations. And you click on it, and it's literally going to be a map. Probably the pinned location is going to be where you guys are currently. And then there's going to be a list of all these places. It's going to be like Walmart, University 123, whatever school you go to. Probably his job, maybe his parents' house if you guys go visit his parents. Probably your crib. There's going to be the most recent locations, maybe for the last 6 months, last 12 months, and then how often you guys are at those locations. So it might be like Walmart 17 times. Okay, that makes sense. You know, the school 20 something times. If you guys go to campus multiple times a week, that makes sense. If there's a location or an address in there that you don't recognize, that's like somebody's house and it's not his boy's house, or it's somebody's house and he has never told you he's going to hang out with the guys, now you can start to wonder, like, who lives there? Maybe go on Zillow, look up the address, see if you can get some names, see if you can find the last name of the person who owns that house. Maybe it's the parents of this chick that he's sneaking out to see. Do some research. But what you're going to do is you're going to look at all these places, the text, the DMs, the locations. You can, if you want to go crazy, you can look at emails. You can look at recent search histories. That seems like a lot of work to me. I like to keep it in the phone. It's all in one place, really. The craziest thing you can do, if you know his iCloud password and his iCloud email, is, you know how you, like, when you get a new phone, the old one just kind of sits there. It's like in a drawer. Take that phone and hook it up to Wi-Fi. It doesn't need a phone number, and you're going to log into his iCloud. But you're going to log in when he's not on his phone. So now you're logged into his iCloud. It's going to probably send him a text message and be like, hey, somebody logged into your iCloud from another device. You can accept it, delete the text. Now you literally have a replica of his phone on your old phone. So it doesn't have to be on your actual phone. It doesn't have to fuck with your things. It can be on a secret second phone. He doesn't even know you have. And now you're looking. You're watching. You see it all. That last one, I really don't recommend unless you've done the text and there's something shady. You've done the Insta and there's shady DMs. And you've done the location and there's shady locations and shady phone calls. Then maybe go ahead and do this one. Maybe it's time. But the iCloud one, I would say, is your last final resort. Like, that is such an invasion of privacy that it kind of hurts me to even say that's an option, but it is an option if you have no other options left. Hopefully, A, he's not doing anything, but if he is, he would have admitted it to you by now. Or even with a simple, like, who the fuck is Jessica, or who the fuck is Jennifer named Jeffrey in your phone, and he'll tell you the truth. But like some guys just won't. So in that instance, it's time to whip out the iCloud. And then what you do is you take all that information, you take screenshots, you write dates down. Okay, you were at 895 Globe Street 3 times in the last 2 days. Why? Write that down. Put it in the binder. Put it in the notebook. Put it in the file on the computer. Put it wherever you want to put it. Wherever it's going to be safe and he's not going to see that you're keeping track of these things. You're going to build a case. Like, imagine you're an attorney. You're building a case for court. You're going to build a case against him. And then you're going to present the case, like, very calmly one day. At this point, you know who the girl is. Maybe you found her Instagram. Print out a picture of her face. Print out the locations they've been hanging out. Print out her phone number. Put it in the binder and hand him the binder. Now, you can hand him the binder calmly and just, like, sit down and cross your legs and let him open it and be like, you can throw the binder at his head. You can wake him up in the middle of the night by smacking him with the binder. However you want to deliver the binder to him is really up to you. But the key is to have the binder so when he opens it, he's like, oh shit, I can't get out of this one. I can't tell her gut feeling's wrong. I can't tell her intuition's wrong. I can't tell her what she thinks she saw is wrong. I can't tell her that the number Jeffrey that I deleted really is my bro Jeffrey. How are you going to say that's Jennifer? That's Jeffrey. No, because there's proof in the binder that it's not Jeffrey. All right? Shut the fuck up. It's not Jeffrey. It says it right here. You've been at this location 3 times in 2 weeks. I found the IG. I saw the DMs. I saw the emails. I saw that you're buying her Tiffany's necklace on your ads on your computer. Whatever it is, you put it in the binder so that he has no choice but to admit the full truth to you. And then now you can walk away in peace. You can walk away with full closure. You don't have to walk away being like, okay, I feel like he's cheating, but I don't know what he did. So now you kind of have to move on from the relationship while having a big question mark as to what went down. You know exactly what happened. I know that was a lot. I feel heated right now. My stomach is kind of twisted thinking about this. I'm gonna go in the room and I'm gonna fight Dante because I think he's cheating. No, I don't. But like after talking about it, like how could I possibly trust anybody? How could I trust him? Like, what, you care about me? But like, do you really? My favorite motto is untrustworthy until proven trustworthy. Like, you cannot blindly trust anybody and then when they do you dirty, be like, I should have known better. No, know better at the beginning, and then when they prove trustworthy, then you can trust them with your emotions and with your secrets and with your insecurities. That's when you start to trust them. But until then, they are untrustworthy until proven trustworthy. That's my motto. I don't tell anybody none of my private shit, ever. Like, my man knows things, obviously. But, like, besides my best friend, like, I'm not gonna text one of my girlfriends and tell her a super private thing between my man and I. I'm just not gonna do it. I would much rather call my own mom and tell her before I did that. Not because there's anything wrong with them. I actually trust them with the information. I just feel like I trust them, but I have never, and I don't think I ever will, 100% trust anybody. And I think it's the Scorpio in me. I don't trust anyone. I think everyone has an ulterior motive. I think even if you trust them today and tomorrow, a year or two from now, that information you told them can be used against you. My mom always said, don't air out your dirty laundry. And I think that has to do with everything. So I know this episode got a little messy towards the end. I promise they won't all be like that. Some of them will be wholesome and really uplifting and positive. This one was just weighing heavily on me. I had to get it off my chest. It had to be said. My lessons and these tips had to be known so that what happened to me doesn't happen to you. You know? Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode and you're listening to the audio version, you can head over to YouTube at Taking on Your 20s. You can subscribe there. That is where I'll be posting the video version. It's literally the same as the audio, it's just in video. So for you people who want to watch or maybe put it on in the background while you're at home, but want to be able to be on your phone on TikTok so you don't want to have two things playing at once, I got you. Taking on Your 20s on YouTube. You can also find me at Taking on Your 20s on Instagram. That is a great place if you want to DM me topic ideas, if you have comments about an episode that I release, if you have hate about an episode I release. I want to hear your constructive criticism. You know, as we take on our 20s, we're learning new things, and I feel like I'm going to learn new things about this podcast. Literally one of my editor said that today. He was like, how funny is it that Taking on Your 20s is a podcast about what you learn as you take on your 20s, and we're learning how to do the podcast thing as we go. Does that make any sense? Anyway, basically, since I'm learning as I go, I definitely want to hear your thoughts, your opinions, anything you got. I can take it. But yeah, Taking on Your 20s on Insta, on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram at Carla Nazaire. It's spelled Carla with a C. Nazaire. I just spell it out, but we're going to be here all day. So my personal Instagram's linked in the podcast Instagram. So you can find me through that if you really wanted to. And if you're listening to the audio version, subscribe on Apple Music, on Spotify, wherever you stream your podcast. You can subscribe so that the next time I post one, you can be ready. So I think they're going to be going up Tuesday nights, maybe Wednesday. That is still something I'm going to work out the kinks about. I'm not 100% sure, but one of those 2 days, I'm thinking. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next week.